The island of Madagascar is the land that time forgot. The creatures that live here are found nowhere else on Earth. Now scientists are discovering that 75 million years ago, even Madagascar's dinosaurs dared to be different. Separated from the mainland 80 million years ago, isolation has had an extraordinary effect on the island of Madagascar. 85% of all the animals and plants found here are unique. The bizarre baobab tree looks like it's been planted upside down. A primitive cat-like creature called a fossa. And these bulging-eyed lemurs, over 30 different species, are found nowhere else on Earth. Madagascar lies 300 miles off the southeast coast of Africa. The fourth largest island in the world, it covers an area greater than California and Washington state combined. Set adrift when dinosaurs ruled the Earth, Madagascar is a time capsule of prehistoric life. Yet almost nothing is known about the strange creatures that once roamed these forests. But chances are they were as unique as the island itself. It is into this alien world that a team of dinosaur hunters has come. Their mission, to explore Madagascar's primeval past and to uncover clues to ancient life in the long ignored and mysterious Southern Hemisphere. Joining David Krause of the State University of New York at Stony Brook are 14 scientists and students from the United States and Madagascar. They include paleobiologist Scott Sampson, sauropod expert Peter Dodson, and Kathy Forster, a specialist in prehistoric birds. Having rendezvoused in Madagascar's capital, Antananarivo, the team is heading northeast toward the mouth of the Bitsibuk River, a day and a half away. Where they're going, there's no running water and no electricity, only disease, parasites, and crocodile-infested rivers. But awaiting them are the bones of creatures unseen and untouched for 75 million years. For centuries, Madagascar remained a source of myth and legend. Off limits to Europeans, anyone washed up on its shore could find themselves enslaved or murdered. When Madagascar became a French colony, only a few daring missionaries and explorers made tentative forays into the island's interior. Then in 1896, the fragments of a skeleton were sent to French paleontologist Charles Desparais, who identified them as the remains of a giant dinosaur. But fabulous fossils coming out of North America obscured their discovery, and it was soon forgotten. Almost 100 years would pass before David Krause, on a scouting trip in 1993, rediscovered the site where Desparais' dinosaur was found. 2 years later, Krause began his first excavation, but nothing prepared him for the remarkable range of creatures he and his team would come across. Rare and tiny mammals, exotic lizards, and even birds previously unknown to science. But the most staggering find was the remains of one of the largest species of plant-eating dinosaurs ever to walk the Earth.
The greatest thing we found in the quarry were the bones of a titanosaurid sauropod. These are huge dinosaurs with long tails, long necks, much like the one that is on my cap. Previously, they were only known from about 25% of their skeleton. This specimen was incredibly complete. Maybe 80 to 85% of it was there.
Although only a juvenile when it died, the titanosaur was larger than an elephant, 30 feet long, 6 feet tall at the hip, and weighing 3 tons. Though it's the most complete skeleton yet, a crucial piece is missing, the one fossil no one has ever found, its skull. To understand how such a monster came to be here, it's necessary to travel back in time. 200 million years ago, Madagascar did not exist. Sandwiched between other land masses, the future island lay at the heart of a giant supercontinent called Gondwana. Here, dinosaurs roamed freely until 150 million years ago, when Gondwana split apart and the southern oceans were born. By 80 million years ago, India had begun its journey northward, leaving Madagascar cut off for the rest of time. The fossils are 75 million years old, from a time when Madagascar was already an island, ancient and remote. Many belong to creatures that were marooned after the split, and like the lemurs of today, had evolved in unique ways. Titanosaurs have been found in Africa, South America, and India. But because the skeleton from Madagascar is from a juvenile and incomplete, it's too soon to tell if the dinosaur taking shape is also one of a kind. The answer lies in more fossil evidence. If David and his team can find the bones of an adult titanosaur, or better still, a complete skull, they may be able to solve this mystery. It's evening before the team finally settles down to their first meal at camp. Local villagers have been hired to help out with the daily chores. Marie, the cook, worked for them last year, and Kathy is delighted to see her again.
This is Marie, and Marie does a wonderful job cooking for us. The rice, and tonight we're having pasta on rice.
Comforts are extremely basic, and the food is simple. But for some members of the team, it has its advantages.
I'm going in 2 belt notches this trip.
I lost 20 pounds at the Kraus Fat Farm.
Cut off from contact with the rest of the world, this will be their home for the next 6 weeks. Hope runs high that there's time enough to uncover the secrets of Madagascar, where life in the distant past took a bizarre and mysterious turn. The fossils are scattered over 10 square miles around the camp. Loaded down with heavy equipment and water, the team begins each day with a grueling trek to the digs, 2 to 3 miles away. Out here, jeeps are useless. Like the surface of a glacier, the terrain is crisscrossed by narrow crevices 5 to 10 feet deep, called lavikas. They are often hidden by tall grass, and unwary hikers may not see them until it's too late. But surprises also make Madagascar intriguing. Fragments of prehistoric bones literally litter the ground. Within a week, the team zeroed in on a number of promising sites and uncovered several large bones belonging to titanosaurs. But so far, no skull. Embedded in crumbly sandstone, the fossils are easy to dig out and in amazingly good condition. But in Madagascar, where temperatures can soar to 100 degrees, excavating dinosaurs is hard work and potentially dangerous. To clear the land for cattle grazing, villagers set fire to the surrounding grassland. Sometimes they burn out of control. But with the dense ground cover burned away, fossils are instantly visible. Like prospectors looking for gold, Scott and Kathy take every opportunity to explore the charred earth. Today, the problem is not finding fossils, but deciding which ones to dig up. 2 large dinosaur bones have been exposed.
In some ways, this is about as good as it gets because we have multiple bones together eroding out of a hill. There is very little in the way of other bones down the hill, so it means that we're not here too late probably. The skeleton is likely in the hill rather than down the hill. And there's, as you can see, there's not much dirt above the bones here, so it makes it easy for us to get our picks and shovels in here and find out if there's actually a dinosaur buried in this hill. So my guess is there's part of a skeleton of a sauropod dinosaur sitting right at this level.
But this dinosaur will have to wait. Back at the dig, an even more exciting discovery has been made. The elusive skull of a titanosaur. Though broken and scattered, all the pieces are there. Peter Dodson and his student Lydia have the honor of excavating the fossil.
And this skull is the first titanosaurid skull known anywhere in the world. We weren't even sure they had skulls before this find. So we're going to know a lot more in the future.
Now, for the first time, it is possible to look into the face of a titanosaur. Along with the skull, a peculiar object was found that may solve a century-old mystery.
100 years ago, when the first dinosaurs were described from Madagascar, a scoot, a piece of body armor, was found. And Charles Desparais made the remarkable inference that sauropod dinosaurs, the long-necked, long-tailed plant eaters, had body armor. And nobody believed him. And now, 100 years later, we have found the second piece of titanosaurid armor. And we can confirm this. We're very, very excited about this find.
The armored plates, or scutes, sat in ridges along the dinosaur's back and flanks. But the best was yet to come. The skeleton belonged to an adult, not much larger than the juvenile discovered in 1995. Only 30 feet long, it's 10 feet shorter than titanosaurs found elsewhere in the world. The discovery led Peter Dodson to a bold conclusion about the dinosaurs of Madagascar and how they evolved.
Titanosaurids from Madagascar were absolutely unique. 80 million years ago, they were cut off from the rest of the world, and they were able to evolve in their own way. They perhaps evolved to somewhat smaller body sizes. They radiated into a variety of types, some with very fine teeth for eating a very fine, soft vegetation, others with rather coarse teeth for eating much coarser vegetation. And they represent their own little evolutionary microcosm here in Madagascar.
From the sediment surrounding the fossils, scientists have also been able to reconstruct the titanosaur's prehistoric world. The vast Bitsibuk Delta, only a few miles away, is almost the same as it was 75 million years ago, a shallow floodplain where fresh and salt water mingle on the tide. Living among the dinosaurs were primitive crocodiles, oysters, fish, and small mammals. Beneath the red mud of this sluggish river, similar creatures are being buried today. Herds of massive titanosaurs would have trampled through this forest and lingered in the marshes. But they weren't alone. Another, more sinister creature was lurking in the trees. excavating the skeleton of the titanosaur, Peter Dodson found a bone with a provocative tale to tell.
These bones have a bit of a history before the animal was buried. And we can see that when we dug out the upper end of this humerus of the shoulder bone, we can see that the bone is very badly broken up here, which suggests that a predator was chewing on the bones before it was buried. It was food.
Something big was stalking the sauropods. The hunt for the predator is on. As each day passes, tantalizing new clues appear.
One of the most common fossils you find in the field area around here are these teeth with these serrations. We found hundreds of these teeth, but we haven't found the animal. We've chased all kinds of tails into hills and found nothing.
The teeth belong to a large-jawed, two-legged predator. In its absence, it's already been named Majungasaurus. Finding a new dinosaur is a thrill, but every tiny fossil is important.
What we're trying to do is do more than just collect the dinosaurs. At this locality we find fishes, frogs, mammals, and other small vertebrates. And we need to know that diversity in order to know all of the animals that lived here.
Getting at the fossils is no easy task. Each 50-pound bag of sediment is carried to camp on a back-breaking hike. To separate the fossils from the dirt, they are washed, then sifted through muslin. The fragments will then be dried and packed to take back to New York, where they'll keep a team of experts busy for a year. Each fragment, no matter how small, is a vital clue to an even larger mystery scientists hope to solve. What creatures roamed the southern hemisphere 75 million years ago? In the 19th century, whole skeletons of dinosaurs dug out of the American Midwest revealed the vast panorama of life and death in the northern hemisphere, and unleashed a riveting cast of characters such as Tyrannosaurus Rex. But the South remained enigmatic and obscure. For David Krause, work never ends. Solar panels provide enough electricity to power a small office tent. Each day, finds are mapped and logged for further research. As the team gathers before the campfire, David's thoughts turn to finding the elusive bones of the predator Majungasaurus. Little does he know that his wait is nearly over.
Oh, man.
A celebration erupts at the dig.
And I took a piece of rock off here, uncovered this bone, saw a big gleaming tooth with serrations staring at me, and I knew that we finally had Majungasaurus. A few minutes later, I uncovered the lower jaw here with all of these teeth, and it turns out the rest of the skull is all in this area. I yelled something to the effect of, "We have our Majungasaurus jaw," and a few other expletives, and finally we got this animal.
For Scott Sampson, it's a defining moment.
This is about the best thing we could have hoped for this summer. All of us coming out here thought if we can find one thing and one thing only, it will be the skull of Majungasaurus, and here it is sitting right in front of me, so life doesn't get much better than this.
The skull, though in pieces, reveals a wealth of detail.
We have this very bumpy bone over here, which is the nose, and this was a fairly ugly animal, probably with a big bump on its nose. It also had a large knuckle-shaped structure on the top of its head. And this is the structure I'm looking at right here. There's an animal from South America called Carnotaurus, which has large horns projecting off the top of each eye. And if this animal is in fact a close relative, as we think it may turn out to be, then it's not surprising that it has some kind of ornamentation.
Majungasaurus was an awesome beast. Standing 14 feet tall and 30 feet long, with slashing claws and rows of serrated teeth, it would have been the most terrifying creature in Madagascar. While the team carefully removes its bones, Peter and Lydia are on their way to get supplies in Majunga, the town that gave the predator its name. Every 3 days, the team members take turns doing the shopping.
Okay, there's nice tomatoes. Yeah. Now, how many tomatoes? Merci, merci, merci.
Filling and transporting these 100-pound containers of water is the most vital chore. But before they head back to camp, Peter has one more thing to buy.
Water's okay for washing, but this is what makes life possible in the wilderness. A nice warm beer at the end of the day.
Back at the site, one more stunning find was being made in a season of remarkable discoveries. These 2 flecks of brown bone may not look like much, but they could be the most significant find yet. Kathy Forster is extricating a slab of rock containing what she hopes will be the skeleton of a bird. The first remains of a bird were found here in Madagascar in 1995.
We think we might have at least the wing of a bird in here, and possibly the whole bird, we're not sure. But because we're not sure, and because these are such fragile little animals, what we did was we just kind of went around and kind of circumscribed a very big block here. We're going to take this out, bring it back to the lab, and let them tell us.
Fossils of ancient birds are extremely rare and almost unheard of in the southern hemisphere. Each new find may help answer an age-old question. Did birds evolve from dinosaurs? Primitive birds look like dinosaurs, with feathers. Kathy believes birds may have evolved from a small 2-legged predator from the same family as Majungasaurus. Now it's time to celebrate. A local truck stop a few miles down the road is a welcome break.
It's good for everyone.
The menu tonight is a local dish called Verona, which simply means bird.
I'm not one for long speeches, but we're going to have a toast. This has to be one of the best field seasons in paleontological history. So here's to pushing back the frontiers of science. Cheers.
Madagascar is truly the land that time forgot. Paleontologists have only begun to tap into the unique fossil wealth of the southern hemisphere. But already, titans have emerged unlike any other to stalk a strange prehistoric world no one has ever seen. Imagine what still lies buried on Treasure Island.